Okay, let us turn to page 7. Page 7. Setting proper motivation, which consists of three parts: refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize. And bodhicitta field, what to visualize and how to visualize. Your true grandparents, all the family members, and all the other sentient beings around you. And the purpose of this class is to discover our own ultimate source of happiness, ultimate treasure of enlightenment, which exists within each one of us. And rationally coming to know that while this treasure is within us, but is obscured by the mental defilements, and the mental defilements are of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross referred to as the afflictive obscurations, the presence which obscures us from achieving our freedom from miseries, anxiety, tension, stress, and so forth, which are all rooted to the self-grasping ignorance, seeing things as so solidified, objectified, and truly existent. And a counterforce for this is the wisdom of emptiness, to see everything as non-objectified, everything as dream-like, as illusion-like. And then on the other hand is the afflictive, the cognitive obscurations, the presence which stops us from achieving total enlightenment or Buddhahood. That is because of the mental defilements in the form of the subtle stains of the afflictive obscurations, which again have to be eradicated by the wisdom of emptiness, but this time by the force of the bodhicitta, altruistic intention to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So imagining that all sentient beings are joining you, happily joining you, including your two grandparents, and you are there to lead this and take them all along towards enlightenment. Page 7. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye joda soge chonam la chancho bardo dane gyapso che dage jin soge be sonam ke joda penjir sangye jo baraisho. Sangye joda soge chonam la chancho bardo dane gyapso che dage jin soge be sonam ke joda penjir sangye jo baraisho. Sangye joda soge chonam la chancho bardo dane gyapso che dage jin soge be sonam ke joda penjir sangye jo baraisho. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, as well as taught by the great seer. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Vadi Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well as taught by the great seer. Page 17, Heart Sutra Matra, page 17. As we recite this mantra, imagine that the Buddha Shakyamuni, very kind teacher of Buddha Shakyamuni, exhorts us thus: don't remain in the fears of samsara. Come out of the samsara towards the ultimate happiness, where misery is unheard of. And you, hearing this melodious voice of the Buddha Shakyamuni, will inspire your two grandparents, will inspire all of family members, and all the other sentient beings, including the human beings, the animals, insects, and everyone, to join you in this journey of the Gate Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, journey, internal journey of cleansing the mind to discover the ultimate source of happiness, where no external factors can affect and stir the peace of your mind, the happiness of your mind. And everyone happily joins you, and you are there to lead this with this mind. And those of us here having little exposure, whatever exposure that you have of the emptiness, try to bring that to your reflection and see that the real journey, Gate Gate, go, Paragate, go beyond, Parasangate, go utterly beyond, Bodhisvaha, establish your ultimate happiness, ultimate enlightenment. So this real journey takes place through the actual cleansing of the mind, and that cleansing has to be done by resorting to the remedies, and the final remedy is the remedy of wisdom of emptiness, driven by the force of bodhicitta. So whatever reflection of emptiness that one might have, try to bring that experience once in a while as we recite this mantra for the benefit of all demon sentient beings. Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvaha Dhyata 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 Om Gati Gati Paragati Okay, let's turn to page 3 Principles of the Path. Page 48. Page 48. Page 48.
Yes.
I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. I'll explain as well as I'm able the essence of all the teachings of the Conqueror, the path praised by the Conqueror's children, the entrance for the fortunate one desire liberation. Listen with a clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of cyclic existence, but strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity and direct your minds to the path pleasing to the Buddhas. Without pure renunciation, there is no way to end attraction to the pleasures of cyclic existence. The craving for existence also binds beings. Thus, from the outset, seek renunciation. Reverse attraction to this life by reflecting on how leisure and opportunity are difficult to find and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects and the miseries of samsara. Contemplating thus, when you do not for an instant admire the splendors of cyclic existence and remain intent on liberation day and night, renunciation is then born in you. Renunciation, however, if not tempered by pure mind of bodhicitta, does not bring forth the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Therefore, the wise ones generate the excellent mind of bodhicitta, swept by the current of the four powerful rivers, tied by strong bonds of karma, so hard to undo, caught in the iron net of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the three miseries. Thinking of your mothers in this condition, generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom which realizes the ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. Therefore, strive to understand dependent arising. One who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana and destroys all focuses of apprehension has entered the path which pleases the Buddhas. Appearances are infallible dependent arising, and emptiness is understanding that is free of assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of a Buddha. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping through definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refute the extreme of existence, emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have realized that the point of the seek solitude and cultivate strong determination and quickly reach the aspired goal. Okay, maybe 5 minutes meditation. Okay. Okay, 5 minutes meditation. Okay, those of us here who are new to the meditation, 4 points to keep in mind. What we're going to do, those who are particularly new, we are going to do the simplest, one of the simplest of the meditations, which is the breathing meditation, which has 4 points. 1, the body posture. Number 2, focal point. Number 3, identifying the errors of meditation. And number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. And body posture. Most important thing is body should be upright, body upright. And at home, when you do meditation, try your best not to lean against any back support. Should you have backache problem, then you exempt it. Otherwise, if you don't have any problem, the spines or whatever, no problem, then try to sit upright, body upright, without the support of the back support. The number 2 important thing is eyes not closed. Eyes not closed. Eyes always keep open, and for half open, 45 degrees cast down. And it may be difficult at the outset, and slowly we will get used to this, and so the basic idea is to segregate between the eye consciousness and the mental consciousness. So you will see this stark contrast between the two things, and what we're going to employ here is the mental consciousness and not the eye consciousness. So eye consciousness, we just keep it half open and 45 degrees cast down and ignore this. Your mental consciousness should be employed to focus on the intended object. So what we're going to, and then breathe naturally. Don't impose in the breath, breathe naturally. And the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in the mouth. And then your right hand on your left hand, and the tips of 2 thumbs joining form a triangle. Place the 2 hands on your laps in restless state. Breathe naturally. Lips and the teeth, keep them in the natural course. Okay, this is the body posture. Number 2 is the focal point. What we're going to meditate on is a tiny bindu or a dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter. If it is difficult, then you can make it like 3-4 mm in diameter, white in color, between nose and upper lip. So this is what we're going to meditate, focus on. And while you focus your mind there, multitasking. Count your breath, breathe in, breathe out, cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out, cycle 2. For 5 minutes, for some people, it's going to be like 50 or 60 cycles. For others, 70 or 80, depending on the length of your own breath. This is number 2. Number 3 and number 4 are very important. Number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. For the meditation, there are 2 potential errors. One is mental excitement, and the other one is mental laxity. Excitement is when your mind gets scattered here and there. The mental laxity is when your mind feels so heavy, torpor, sleepy, sinking, and inserviceable. So this is, and lethargic. This is when your mind feels laxity. Then the next point number 4, is avoiding applying the remedies to overcome the 2 errors. 2 remedies, introspection and mindfulness. Introspection is to keep an eye on your own mind, to see whether your mind is focused or is alert and is on the object, or it is already scattered or is already in a relaxed state. And you see that your mind is scattered or in a relaxed state, then apply the next remedy, which is mindfulness. Mindfulness is to bring the mind back to the intended object of meditation. Okay, this is what we're going to do. 5 minutes. Okay, begin. Let's begin. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. The last one we were 3. 2 and 2.
We completed 2.
Okay. Okay, we completed 2 and 2, now 2 1 3.
Which one?
Page stanza 213.
22.
Stanza 213. The cause which is spherical is not present in the effect. Thus, complete interpenetration of particles is not feasible. One particle's position is not asserted as also that of another. Thus, it is not asserted that cause and effect are the same size. So, what is being discussed here is the reasons to establish that how things appear to our mind as so objectively real, as so solidly real, is deceptive. In other words, this is to point to the discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. What the reality is very different from how things appear to us. What is the appearance? What is the reality? Appearance-wise, things are all seen as objectively, solidly real. Okay. How many of you in your dream, you saw things as so real meaning, say whatever is actually dream, you see them as real. Say real house, real cars, real food, real people meeting with, and so forth. So in fact, all of us, we all have that. And once in a while, very rarely, people can have say in dreams, what is known as a lucid dream, what is known as REM sleep. So there, we can have the dreams where we're able to identify that you are in sleep and that you are dreaming. Okay, how many of us had such experience? 1, 2, 3, Pranchu? Yes? Okay. Anyone who likes to share with all of us here as to what was the dream like when you were aware that it was your dream, that you were dreaming? Anyone who wants to share? Well, it's so common that nothing really comes to your mind as something very specific. Yes, Anna?
Once I was dreaming and I was completely awake and I was thinking that I could even speak without having to speak to the Lord.
Would you mind repeating this?
I was semi-conscious kind of a thing and I was dreaming. And then I realized that even I can speak without having the real mouth, I can speak.
Okay. Even without the mouth, you could still speak. Okay, good. Anyone else who has a yes, Tejal?
So I had very violent dreams recurring for a long time.
Still?
No,
Oh,
not
happy.
mostly like situations of war, genocide, and always I had to save people, and I always failed. So I would rewind back again and again from the dream would reach a bad end result. And so I would restart again from a certain point where I could try to make different choices to arrive at a different
Okay.
point.
Voluntarily.
Yes, I mean
With choice, with one's own will. Which means you were aware that you were dreaming?
Yes.
Well, you're good. So, with
I
that.
was aware, but I believed still. It's strange.
Okay. Or sometimes it does happen like this, that you're aware that you're dreaming and still there's some degree of believing that is true. Yeah, it does happen. So anyone who has what is known as a lucid dream where you are 100% aware that is totally deceptive. It's true. It's not true. It's just dream. Anyone? No? One? Yes, Rimala?
Geshe, most of the times, like in my dreams, I would see something, and then I would know that it is a dream. And then I will start analyzing in my dream that why am I having this dream right now, and what does this signify?
Oh, that's very clear. So you dreamt of something, you're aware that it's not true, it's dream, and you're wondering, in the dream you're wondering, why am I dreaming this? Why am I having this dream? And what's the significance of this? Very good. Anyone else? Pranchuji?
Sometimes I dream, within the dream, although I'm dreaming and I see something weird, which is not in usual life or in usual thing, that doesn't happen. And within that dream I used to think that this is dream, this is not real, but still I'm not awakened and still I'm not out of whatever that mental impression or fear or joy, whatever is there, I'm not out of that. So, although I'm aware that this is dream.
Okay, say the dream affected you, that you have joy or whatever emotional feelings affected, and the perception-wise you are aware that this is dream,
Yes.
but it does affect emotionally,
Yes.
and then you still feel it.
Mm.
Very true. Nazara? No? Okay, here, Ms. Doble.
As you say that dreams are not permanent, dreams are not permanent, but sometimes I dream which makes you feel sad, and it is still in my mind and it doesn't go away for many, many years. What is that about?
That's true. Sometimes the dreams could be very powerful. It can make you sad, and not only that, it leaves the impact of sadness. It remains in your mind for so long, for so many years. That's very true. That's very possible. Perhaps it could be because something to do with your past lives, past life incidents, incidents which actually happened, and now this time because of that it triggered in the form of dream, and because it actually happened in one of past lives, the memory remains so vivid and very strong, and it has a dependent origination, how things come into being. Okay, in my dream, tomorrow I will make His Holiness the Dalai Lama come in my dream. Who likes to do that? Or who can do it? Who likes to do everyone? But who can do it? No one. Which means the dreams are not coming into being by dependence on your choice, through your choice, by dependence on other factors. What factors? Generally speaking, it is the karmas, it is the activities, karmas meaning activities that we engaged physically, verbally, mentally in the past. Past may not necessarily be past of this life, but a past of the former lives as well. So these are all closely connected. So as we age, try to also explore, this is so important, also explore how things come into being by dependent origination, and particularly emotions. It is so important, particularly emotions, how the emotions are, for example, say the sadness, the fear, right? Depression, tension, how they arise by dependence on other factors. And of course, say for example, if you see somebody and who is very intimidating, of course it's very direct, you could feel it. But at times there are the very subtler factors, very subtle factors involved in triggering. For example, say you have exam, And then, same as the time of the exam is closer and closer, coming closer, the anxiety, tension builds up, slowly builds up. And because of this recollection, what happens next time you meet, say you're already in your 30s, 40s, 50s, no exams now, except for the Narada Master's exam, right? Otherwise no exam, and even this, there's no tension. But you meet a student from a say, particularly from the schools, with tremendous tension. You meet with this child, the child may not say that my exam is approaching, there is so much tension, but just simply look at the child or talk to the child, hear the child, and you could feel the similar kind of the tension which you had earlier. And then from this, you could slowly infer that you don't meet with that person, not that, let alone you having to sit for an exam. You don't meet with that child. The child is somehow around you, and you could feel the tension. These are all something which if we observe so well, how things come into being by dependence on so many factors. It's very true. Now, of these, one factor which is common to all the experiences related to the fears, is seeing things as objectively real. This is the common factor. This is the common factor to all the fears. All the fears which are so evidently created by other factors, internal factors, and which are subconsciously created by other factors, influencing A, influencing B, B influencing C, C influencing D, D influencing F, F influencing you. You cannot see A, B, C. They all remain here, and yet they affect. Very subtle way of affecting each other. This is amazing, the power of dependent origination. It's an undeniable fact. Now, for all these, what is common is seeing things as objectively real. While these influences are there, if you stop seeing things as objectively real, no external factor can affect you in your emotional feeling of this sadness, tension, depression, so forth. So now it becomes so important. So why we started with this question? How many of us we had experience of the vivid dream? So when this question is asked, why this question is so pertinent here is because just as in the dream there's a discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. In the dream.
Another question?
Yeah.
Like I had a dream that my brother in reality had passed away. Thank you. In reality, my brother has passed away a few years back, and I had a dream that he comes to me in the dream, and he asked me that I am buying a shop somewhere in where I stay, in that market. And I went and found out in that market the name of that person who had bought that shop was the same name as my brother's name. What it could be?
So these can happen.
He asked me to go and check it out.
Yes,
in the dream only.
Yeah.
But when I went there, it was Sardarji, but
with
the
the same
name was
name.
the same.
Same name as your brother's.
And it was after 16, 17 years, and that boy who said that same name was the same age. When he passed away 16, 17 years back. So what it could be?
Yes, all
Thank you.
these things can happen. That's very true. These things can happen now. Dependent origination, how things are all connected, dependent on each other, and then things come into being. So precisely, we see that things come into being by the power of dependence. Nothing is there absolutely real. So with this, Just as in the dream, there is a discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. Appearance, the dream is seen as so real, and the reality is when you wake up, you see that it's just my dream. Likewise, if there is a discrepancy existing in the dream, even in the waking state, there's also a discrepancy. This is what we have to discover. Even in the waking state, there's a discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. This is what we have to discover. And this discrepancy between within the waking state, within that, again, there are so many layers. There are so many layers. In fact, what I would say is that say, some of us, we are associated with, say, the dharma, the study of the emptiness, say, nothing to do with your academic, nothing to do with anything else, just for your own interest, and feeling the importance of that, and others feeling the importance of that plus academic addition. So there we see that it's very important. It's very important in any discipline. In any discipline, be it academic or non-academic, saying the more we could see that, intellectually we know this, experientially feel it, and then you try to explore deeper. You could feel more depth, and then you could feel the heaviness, the weight of this. So with this, then you engage in any kind of discipline with interaction with other people. So you see the benefit much stronger. So with this, what I'm saying is that within this waking state, there's also a discrepancy between appearance and the reality. And it's very important. I personally may share with you that the most important thing, the most important gift that one can potentially offer to oneself, in terms of personal, say, the sense of achievement, sense of goodness, sense of profundity, is the wisdom of emptiness. This is the most important thing. And intellectually we can know this. Once you get just a little flavor, a tinge, a glimpse of this discrepancy, how things appear to me and how things actually exist. Once you have a glimpse of this, it is very important to try to habituate, familiarize in his meditation on a daily basis, so to stabilize. So once have a glimpse, we may become very confident. Okay, now this is the reality. Now this is it. We make a confidence, and of course within this, again, there are so many layers, like peeling of the onion peels. Peeling the onion. First layer peel, second layer, third layer, fourth layer. There are so many layers to peel off. Okay. So with this, imagine. So what we are studying here, these are very profound, very technical, and the more we study these, at times some people might get a feeling that what we are studying is not really, it's just purely academic exercise, intellectual exercise. It has nothing really to do with the practice. That's not really true. The practice is what? The practice is to bring about transformation. Transformation of what? Transformation of our habitual way of thinking. And habitual way of thinking is so deeply grounded on seeing things as so objectified and so solidified. So this is the habitual tendency. Now to counteract this, we have to design such a meditation, design such a thought process, design such a reflection, whereby the very deeply the deeply ingrained belief that things are objectively real, this can be dismantled. Okay, for that purpose, the thought process must be also very active and so sharp, very active, and must have the ability to see through the nuances of the different realities. Okay, so for this, before we actually go through the actual reading of the following stanzas, which are so precious, just we try to have some glimpse of what could that be like, of what is known as the discrepancy, even in the waking state. In the waking state, the discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. This is so important. It's so important. For example, a saying. This is what fascinates me so much. Okay. In fact, this is what is said in many of the very standard, the books, the philosophy books, the Buddhist philosophy books, said that ordinary people, meaning we the ordinary beings, ordinary people, for them, who is more valuable? The Buddha Shakyamuni, or just an ordinary person who is believed to have a very accurate, say, what do you call it, astrologist? Astrologer?
Number 2.
Astrologer or astrologist? Astrologer. Say, very accurate astrologer, but very ordinary, right? Okay, if you come, I do the astrology calculation for you, you have to pay me 500 rupees. Which means a person's thinking is so low. You agree with me? If this is the standard of the thing, how can we compare this person with the Buddha? Right? But for the ordinary people, this person is what we respect more than to the Buddha. How do we know this? We may put the Buddha's image in the altar and make offerings and so forth, and the person's picture we may not put it there. But in practical reality, when you are in need of some guidance, we will not go to the Buddha, but go to this astrologer for the guidance. If the astrologer says that, hey, you have to accumulate virtue in this life, in this year, otherwise there's bound to be obstacles, then we will be so careful to make sure that in this year you accumulate so much of virtue. But the Buddha already said it. Buddha already said right from the beginning. Give up some virtue. Accumulate no non-virtues. But no, commit no evils. Accumulate as great wealth of virtues. Subdue mind. This is the teaching. This is the greatest of the prophecy. This is the greatest of the prophecy. The Buddha already made. But we don't care. We don't pay heed to that. Only if the astrologer, ordinary astrologer, who demands you to pay 500 rupees, 1000 rupees for one astrological consultation, that person, whatever he says, you value it so much. We value it so much. This is the discrepancy, right? Now, more important than this word, the word of this astrologer, more important that is the real gift. Discover the discrepancy between the reality and the appearance. All what for you are going to the astrologer, all will be resolved. Why we are going to the astrologer? I don't want to go through this tension. I don't want to go through this tension. What tension? Tension of what? Tension of mind, not of the body. Tension of mind. So this tension of mind will be resolved. You don't have to go to the astrologer. Resolve, see the discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. And then cultivate your mind on the basis of this, seeing the discrepancy, and then you see the tension is dissolved. Tension is dissolved. Say, astrologer may be able to, maybe, may not be, even that is questionable. Say, one point with your business, one thing, But you are not just one business. There are thousands of things. Personal issues, business, job, family, friends. There are thousands of issues there. All issues will be resolved by seeing this discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. Okay. Now with this, it is so important if we are really to be taking care of ourselves, if we are ready to take care of ourselves, if we are ready to be kind to ourselves, the best thing to do is try to discover this discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. Just as when you discover the discrepancy between the appearance and the reality in your dream, you are freed from the tension of the dream. You are freed from the stress and depression of the dream. Likewise, we discover this discrepancy between appearance and reality in the waking life. We see that all our problems simply will be over, finished. This is so important. So this is the greatest gift that you can possibly give to yourself, and we may not be able to give this to ourselves in the future lives. This life we are already fortunate to have met with this great teaching of Aryadeva, 400 verses. So what we are studying here is all about this. So with this in mind, let us do a very quick reflection as a seed to trigger this discovery of the discrepancy between appearance and the reality. Okay, let's say, for example, say to yourself, okay, let us all sit properly, sit upright and alert. Okay, that's going to be more like, this is going to be more like a guided meditation. It's going to be more like a guided meditation, and then once we do this guided meditation, then if it does leave some effect, if you do discover that, oh, something's there, then it is very important for us to go further and explore deeper and more extensively and more deeply. Okay, imagine, just think of yourself and say your mother or your father, your brother or your sister, whosoever you feel genuinely close to us, genuinely affectionate to us. Okay, so this person A, how does the person A appear to you? Like a dream, or as so solidly well defined there? Of course, so solidly well defined there. Not like a dream. Now, let us go into exploration. So this person, if you go closer to see what this person is like, how the person appeared to me as so solidly there, this is in fact deceptive. Deceptive means how the person appears, person A appears to you as so solidly there. It does not exist that way. It is not really there. It is not really there the way the person appeared to you. How can I know this? Okay, don't start with blind faith. Just rationally probe deeper. No doubt, imagine that you are a clinical surgeon at the top layer of that person A, you'll see a thin layer of skin. 100%. This is not that person. 100%. Beneath this is the fatty tissues. Of course, the fatty tissues. Peeling the skin off, the fatty tissues coming so bare is so repulsive to look at. 100%, even that is not a person. Beneath that is the flesh, the blood vessels, the muscles, the cartilages. 100% is also not the person. Muscle tear and wear happens. We can remove the muscles, but the person is intact. 100%. Then beneath that, the skeleton. Skeleton, which is so scary. If the skeleton were to come on its own, without the outer covering, the plaster of the outer covering, so scary, so repulsive to look at. And particularly moving towards you is very scary. 100%. There is also not that person to whom I have a tremendous affection towards. Then the heart, the lungs, kidney, the spleen, the pancreas. None of these is a person. The blood, which is pumped in and out by the heart, plus all the parts of the body, is also not a person. 100%. The body heat is also not a person. Air which the person breathing in and out is also not a person. The space between the particles, between the atoms, electrons, is also not a person. Space is empty in nature, is vacuum in nature, the person is solid in nature. These two are very contradictory. The mind of a person is also not a person. The person is male, the person is female. The mind does not have a gender. Gender is posited on the basis of the body. The mind is also not a person. So where is the person now? Besides these, nothing's there. Remove all those things which are not a person, all the solid parts, the skin, the fatty tissues, the muscles, the cartilages, the bones, the heart, the lungs, the spleen, the kidney, intestine. All these, the solid parts which are not a person, remove them. Water, element of water, the blood, pumped in and out by the heart to different parts of the body, is also not the person. Remove that. Element fire, the body heat, is also not a person. Remove that. Element air, air which the person breathes in and out, is also not a person. Remove that. Element space is also not. Element consciousness or the mind is also not. Remove that. What is left? Nothing is left. Nothing is left. Where is this person now? The person to whom I feel so close to. The person to whom I feel so close to. Where is it? It's not there. It disappears. Remain in that state. That this person disappears. Grab that experience. That person disappears. If a tinge of fear comes to you, you're very lucky. You're very fortunate. A tinge of peace, a tinge of tranquility, a tinge of calmness comes to you. You're very fortunate. If not, still don't worry. Even to be able to do this analysis itself is very fortunate. Remain in that experience. Okay. Now, what is really there? What is really there? All these elements, they are nothing but made of particles. Now imagine, they're just seeing the same person in the light of these millions of particles. None of the particle is a male, none of the particle is a female. That's 100% sure. Okay, remain in that experience. If you ask a biologist, if you ask a physicist, if you ask a chemist, all will agree to the fact that on that level there's no gender, no male, no female. What we see as female, as my mother, what we see as male, my dad, my brother, my dad, so forth, they're all just illusion. 100%. They're on that level. There's nothing there as a male, as a female. All these particles which constitute the person is nothing but genderless. Just remain in this experience. Not that we have gone too close to the reality, we have gone too close to the object to see to what reality is out there. There's just a gender neutral there. Gender neutral. Now imagine, slowly come out of the meditation. Slowly come out of the meditation. Again the person as a male, female, all come out. This is just your perception, illusory perception. In reality, there's nothing there as a gender. Everything is gender neutral. But what you're seeing is just illusion-like perception. Perception which undeniably arises because of your own karmic imprints activation. And this is a fact. Okay. Now, this is a very simple analysis. Of course, we need to expand this further to learn more. And we need to make it more profound, make it more deep and more expansive. And then do it on a daily basis. And as I've been oftentimes sharing with people, that initial experience would be that if one really feels that I see this is where I need to put a little bit of effort, and there's a tremendous enthusiasm there. With the enthusiasm, if you work, it will 100% work. But how it works, initially there's going to be a very steep rise in experience. You get such a confidence that if I practice this for the next, I don't even have to wait for 1 year. For a few months, 100% I'll achieve nirvana. This confidence you would get. But when you're consistent with this, then experience will slowly start to drop experience, and then slowly it will become mechanical. It can become mechanical, which means you're following the steps. But early experience, the confidence that all my afflictions, the fear, tension, attachment, anger, so forth, they will subside. That confidence which earlier occurred to us will slowly decline and become very mechanical. When it becomes mechanical, it may let us feel so demoralized. We may become so discouraged. This happens. But be mindful that this is not the sign of failure. This is how all the past saints, all the past great saint scholars, particularly saint scholars, they went through. Everyone went through this steep rise in experience, fall, and then being consistent, still be consistent, never giving up. Never give up, be consistent, slowly start again picking up. But this time, the next time it picks up, it is not that steep rise. It's going to be diagonal, very slow diagonal experience. Yet, it's going to be very, very stable. Now, again at times it can go down, but you are confident that it will still rise at one point. And then the experiences you will come, and depending on how extensively you have learned about the minimum, the 5 layers of emptiness, depending on how much you have learned, minimum of these 5 layers of dependent origination, 5 layers of emptiness, then to that extent we will be able to evaluate what experiencing, whether it's the first level, second level, third level, fourth level. Then as we go further, we see that it's not just 5. Each one of them have further 5. Each one of them have further more divisions. Yet, instead of it making us feel discouraged, it will make us very inspired to see that now I have the ability to evaluate my own experience. This is so precious, so precious. Okay. With this, then say, so where a meditation with eyes open, that plays a very important role. Say, when you're talking to someone else, or when you're in a metro, or when you're taking shower, or when you're having breakfast, or when you're making prostrations, whatever gesture that you're doing, just be mindful that all what I'm doing is just like illusion. It's all just like illusion. With this mindfulness. And then once in a while, not just putting the tag that is illusion. Once in a while, see if you can actually meditate with the eyes open and with the act of, say, taking shower or brushing the teeth, or say putting on your clothes, or so making your bed, or say the washing a dish, or eating your breakfast, eating a meal, or say going to the shop, any kind of these actions, just once in a while, stop there and see, of course not during the driving. Of course not when you are driving, no, don't do that. I'm very serious, right? When driving, no. Otherwise, say, stop there and then just literally do all these steps of the meditation on emptiness. And then this experience will be very sharp. Otherwise, okay, I'm talking to you, these tracks are moving, they're just illusion-like. So whatever early experience that you had, that determines the depth of this experience now. Here when you're given the tag, oh, this is illusion-like, even the sounds also illusion-like, even the people with whom I'm sitting now, they're also illusion-like. So there, these are just like the tags given there. Actually experience is not coming. But some degree experience coming to us, when you give the tag, how deep, how profound they are, depends on the depth and the profundity of the experience you had during the actual meditation session. Right? So, once in a while, it is very important to actually do the proper meditation during any of these incidents. Like having the breakfast, just stop there. If this breakfast, the person who is taking the breakfast, even where's there is also dreamlike. And then do all these methods, the steps. Even to the breakfast that I'm eating, even the mind which feels satiated, the mind which feels, okay, now I'm full, this feeling of being satiated. Even this feeling, this also is illusion-like. Right? So with this, then what the Buddha Shakyamuni so compassionately said, just as in the dream of a youthful girl, she met with a boy and saw his death. Joyous was she at the meeting and despair over his death. view all phenomena as thus. So this will make profound sense to us that whatever I'm encountering with, they're all just illusion, they're all just dream. And then say the feeling, the early experiences that you might have, a tinge of unhappiness, a tinge of heaviness of your mind, or whatever you have, you see that instantly you're lifted from that, the heaviness, and you feel the lightness there. You feel the lightness, and the feeling of lightness that you get at that point is something which we never experienced before. Before, when we were age 16, your body is so light. Even there, your body is so flexible. Even there, we have never experienced that feeling of the lightness. You may be age 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 now. Your bodily wise, you have become so heavy. But you, because of this meditation, you get that feel, just a feel, a fleeting experience of emptiness, right? The lightness that you get is something which you have never experienced before. Okay, this is so precious. Now, at the same time, to see this experience so vividly is determined by how sharp your mind is. And the sharpness of mind we can acquire through the skills rendered to us by the great Narendra masters. For example, like the great Acharya Aryadeva, the great master, Acharya Aryadeva. So the book which we're studying here. So here, what I like to say is that with this, whatever little experience that you get, if possible, if you already get some experience, a tinge of experience of emptiness, then no doubt it is such a shame on us not to dedicate like 10 to 20 minutes a day on a meditation emptiness. We are being so unkind towards yourself. We are being so unkind towards oneself if we don't do that. Because it's not just a matter of one life. The food, we make sure that we don't miss the breakfast. If you miss the lunch, then we'll say, oh, as though like it's a big sacrifice. Missing one lunch. Missing a whole one day lunch, a whole one day meal, it's unbearable sacrifice. But missing the wisdom of emptiness, while we already have some exposure to this, we don't see that as you miss an important part. So this is very sad. So what we do is that, if possible, we try to design a practice on, say, a practice of the wisdom of emptiness. And so we have the recordings of the Bodhicitta retreat. From there, how to design a meditation, they're all very clearly mentioned there. So those of you who are not familiar with the Bodhicitta retreat, you can visit the recordings. The recordings are there in the bodhiwisdom.org, and the Besla and Gitla, two of them, so kindly created a website to make other people be aware of these meditations. Okay. And then it's just a matter, and then somebody told me, I met the person, say, I meet the person so often times, and one time I met after about like say 8 or 9 months, and then the person reported to me about the person's practice. What practice? Bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, and the single point of meditation. Then the person asked me, okay, what next? What are the meditations? Okay, so there, if the troublemaker, the final root cause of all the miseries, if that changes, then we should look for other methods, other meditations. As long as that does not change, we already got the main medicine. We already got the main medicine. Now is what? Okay, I've already taken the tuberculosis medicine for the one week. So what is the next medicine? I'm bored with the first one. No, you have to continue with this. Right? So therefore, once you get it, you're very lucky. We already got this final medicine, and our job is to be consistent with this. Okay. At the same time, don't feel complacent with whatever we are doing. Keep expanding it, keep deepening it. This is so important. How to deepen it, how to expand it, keep expanding it, is through getting more exposure to the very standard treatises on the emptiness written by the great Nalanda masters, including this book. Okay, so these will give us the various angles, the sharpening of the mind, how to sharpen the mind, and there, as the mind becomes sharpened, then when we meditate on emptiness, it becomes very easy, and more importantly, evaluating. For example, for the products, so like for the mobile, so they say for this clock, the mic, all these things, after manufacturing the products, there is one unit known as quality control, right? There's a separate department for all the products will go there, right? And those persons who are there, they are going to be paid especially more, because these are experts who can say, particularly, for example, the gadgets, the clocks, the mobiles, the computers, and so forth. So what's missing there in this? What are the loopholes? What are the missing links there? So people deliberately, the university students, they are given these laptops, right? You play with this, and whatever limitation that you see, they report to us. And then on how much you report, to that extent you get money. So this is known as quality control. Quality control, so in this meditation, is evaluating our own experience. So that's a quality control. So for this, the sharpness, only if we are exposed to these Nalanda Masters' great teachings, only then we can have the quality control. Otherwise, it's very dangerous. And we may die as a great saint in the eyes of the ordinary people, and actually not a great saint. How you become a great saint in the eyes of ordinary people? Because you have been meditating in this for like 30 years, 40 years. Right? Meditating what? Where is the quality control? So without exposure to these great texts, how can one have the quality control? You are lucky if your teacher is still alive. But when you finish your like 30, 40 years, your teacher's already gone. Who is there to help you with your quality control or the evaluation of your own experience, had it not been for these great teachings? So therefore, these teachings are so important, so important. Okay, so with this, finally, these teachings are important. These teachings, our mind should imbibe. Our mind should imbibe. And if this glass, so this glass is very plain. I want it decorated, designed, with a special design, little twisted. How to twist it? You warm it up, make it warm, heat it up, and then you gently twist it with this special equipment, and then design will come out, right? And then you twist it very quickly, what happens? It'll break. You getting it? So now, so finally these great teachings are there as the equipments to design our mind. And our mind should not be twisted so fast. It should take time. We should take time to make sure that a proper design is given there in a very gradual, skilled, proper way. So for this, our mind should imbibe. So this mind will eventually evaluate our own experience, not the book. The book will make our mind give the instrument to evaluate. Our mind will become sharp, and this mind will eventually evaluate our own experiences. So this is so important. Okay, with this mind, thus far what we have discussed was that, say, when we believe that there is no discrepancy between the appearance and reality, which means we see the reality and the appearance as one. So which is easier, the reality or the appearance? Which is easier for us to believe? Appearance. And the appearance is believed as the reality. So this is what traps us in endless suffering all the time. We believe in appearance and reality. The moment we believe in appearance and reality as one, then the questions arise. How do these things so objectively real, how do they exist? How do they come into being? So what is today came into being from the, say, last year? What was last year came into being from the last year? What was in this century came into being from the previous century? What is in this millennium came into from the past millennia? So what? The past millennia from where? The past millennia. Go like this? 15 billion years. 15 billion years when the Big Bang started. 15 billion years. So say if this version is accurate, the physicists, they believe that the universe started 15 billion years ago. If that is accurate, right? Okay, then the first point, singularity, what is known as singularity, the initial point of the Big Bang. So who created this question? Now, with the physics is also a question. Even the physics, there's say the divergent view, single Big Bang, multiple Big Bang. There's a divergent view there because we cannot account for this singularity. Where did it come from? If you believe in single Big Bang, there is no answer to this question. Only if you believe in multiple Big Bang, then it's from the previous Big Bang. Previous Big Bang from the previous Big Bang. So the Big Bang, Big Crunch, Big Bang, Big Crunch. So this is the process. Okay, now, still the question, so many, even if you believe in multiple Big Bang, still the question arises. Say, there must be some agent which dictated that with this amount of energy cannot be contained and that it should explode. So how does this entity knows that now I have reached that limit? How does it know that? How does it know that I have reached the limit where I cannot contain myself any further? I should explode. How does this energy, the unit know about this limit? How does it know? Right? So therefore, this brings to the belief that there must be external creator which dictates that this cause effect should operate. One. So this gave rise to the belief in creator God. One. Number two, in India, in fact, India is such a rich, amazingly, it's the rich land of, say, a land which richly gave birth to so many philosophical traditions. Some traditions say, no, it's not, there's no creator God. It's just the time. Time is the ultimate creator. So the time is there. From the time, then everything came out from there. So time is the ultimate creator. And some say that even time is not. It's just the particles. It's amazingly scientific. In those days, believe it or not, 3,000 years ago, these people, they were all thinking that there's no external creator God as such. There's nothing there as external agent. It's just the minute particles, particles. So the table, the whole earth, the whole universe, they are made of the particles. And these particles, you break them further, we see that there's a tiny particle, finally what is known as the partless particles. These partless particles, they existed since time immemorial. Since beginner's time. They exist like that. They are permanent. Permanent means don't ask for the cause. Right? Don't ask for the cause because they are permanent. Time is permanent. And these are also the particles are also permanent. These permanent particles, particles, they come together, configurate, and they form table, they form trees, they form rocks, they form human body, animal body, they form this, that, air, fire, whatever. It's all coming from the particles. So final creator is the particles, particles. Okay, these brilliant ideas came from there. And then one tradition has it that even with the particles, it does not fully give the answer. Even the particles, be it permanent, but how do the particles know? Particles, they don't have the ability to know. How do we know? How do they know that we should become the human body, we should become the plant body, we should become this, that, and so forth? How do the particles know? So for this, we see that either one has to accept the creator God, or we have to accept the law of karma. Law of karma, these are the only two choices. Two choices, and then see which has internal contradictions. Okay, just for your information, it was many years back when I was in my monastery, when I was in the peak of my studies, when I was in the peak of my philosophy studies. It was, I think, in the IB Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, I was there for about 6 years. Then I went down to South India. I think it was in the second year in South India. That was in my eighth or ninth year. So then what happened was that for the first time I was discovering the system of the agriculture, how the agriculture works. I was so fascinated. You won't believe what happened. That December, January, which is otherwise winter, in other places terribly cold, like Delhi, terribly cold, in the hill station, very cold. There in South India, not all, say Hubli area, in South India, it was the peak of the heat. Peak of the heat when Delhi was going through the worst of the cold. So there was a peak of the heat. January, February, March, February, peak of the heat. Peak of the heat. Then March. Then April, the first drizzle, it drizzles, the first drizzle comes. The first drizzle comes, meaning just a bit of rain. So what is that for? That rain was for the farmers to get to the land. The land was the soil. Some of them which are plowed, the solid soil, they were softened by this drizzle. I was so fascinated. Then once the farmers, they go there, then break the solid earth, which was the outcome of the plowing the field. They break it, and after breaking it, then there is like 1 week shower, 1 week rain. Not through the machine, through the air, through the sky. 1 week rain. That is for the land to really make soft and for the farmers to put the seed. After 1 week, for the next 1 week, no shower. The farmers, they go into the field to put the seed. Fascinating. Then once the seed are put, then the shower continues to fall 1 month. 1 month, that is for the plants to get the water and grow. Then after this, when the plants grow fully, it's I think about like 1 month. Here, 1 month grow to some extent, and then the rain stops. What? For the farmers to take out the wheat, to separate the wheat and the actual crops. The wheat separate. Once the wheat separated, then the rain continues to fall like 2-3 months, and then it grows fully. And then rain stops. It's time for farmers to. I was so who's dictating all these things? Who's dictating? How does the nation know that the farmers, they need this time for this, that time for this? Amazing. I was so fascinated. One. Number two, you won't believe. Number two. Same, the people next to the mountains, they get water from And we live on water. We survive on water. Without water, we die. So people, they, on the mountainous region, they get the water easily, the melting of the snow. Then people down the line in the plains, they make water, because then the water will be given down in the form of rivers. It's amazing. Then further down the plains, the water cannot reach there. But still, they can bore well is there, you dig it, and the water, some of the water, they have been thrown down into the earth, so the people down the way, deep down, they can still get the water from bore well. It's amazing. And finally, all this water which are not used will go into the water tank, which is the oceans. Oceans water tank, they will go there. And again from there, the water has to taken back to the mountains. Who will carry them back? Nobody. Through the sun. The sun is there, evaporate, and when they evaporate, it will be evaporate, it will be in the form of the rain, in the form of the snow, and better will be in the snow. And snow, if it is on the plains, it will melt, so it is put in the mountain, so that it is reserved, kept there intact. So it is carried there to the mountains. Amazing. Again, this beautiful, amazing cycle is so beautiful. Literally, I was fascinated. It was a peak of my studies. I was just wondering, either it is God or it's karma. There's no other explanation to account for this beautiful nature. Nothing else can be there to account for this phenomenon. It's amazing, amazing. Okay, so what I'm saying is that, say if you look at like this, we see, and then the human body is even more wonderful. Amazing, right? Human body is amazing. That's really amazing. Human body is amazing. Wow. Right? So we need the mattress, right? But the national mattress is always with us. Wherever we go, we have the national mattress. It's amazing. And then we need the wheels. The two legs are always there attached with us. That we can. And then we need to pick up things. The robotic machines are there. The two hands are always there with us. Everything, whatever is required, is always intact with us. We carry everything intact with us. As one unit, we go. It's amazing. It's amazing. And how the cells work, how the cells coordinate within them. Amazing coordination, amazing. One does one work and the other does the other work, and there's no fight. Once a fight happens, all the organ failures happen, and then you die. Amazing. And then no proper scientific explanation is there. In fact, one time, Naresh took me to one doctor, Dr. Ish. Naresh took me to Dr. Ish, and then Naresh was so worried about my diet. And he told Dr. Ish that he's vegetarian, but he's not getting proper food, and so forth. Dr. Ish said one thing, he's a medical doctor. He said, Naresh, you don't have to worry about that. He has a body inherited from the plateau, Tibetan plateau, where there was no vegetation. Right? Where there's no vegetation, and still Naresh was not so convinced. Then he said that people in the Arctic Circle, no vegetation, you don't see any greenery there. There's only survive on the animal products. Animal products, they change into whatever the green, the vegetables do, they somehow manage the body itself. There's the internal mechanism there, which the greens should be doing, the vitamins, what we call as vitamins, so forth should be doing. The animal products, they will do everything for that person. So this is the body that he has. So why should we worry about it? It's very true. And now on the brain level, what is being discovered? If there is a damage to one brain, where with a healthy brain, we see that brain part A and part B. Part A does save the language. Part B does save the emotions. Language and emotions. When the brain A, part A gets damaged, oftentimes what happens is part B, which is just for the emotions, takes the responsibility of the language also. So now all these things are discovered. All these things are discovered. And who is dictating that now you have to take the responsibility? Who dictates? Either God or your karma. Besides these two, there is no answer. Right? Now, how to follow which of the two? That is entirely up to the individual. For some people, believing in God, that helps. For some people who want to be more rational, I want explanation. For these people, karma perfectly fits well. Karma. Perfectly, no contradiction at all. So this is, finally, rationally speaking, what can help us to really understand that nothing is really there. It's dependent origination. Karma is nothing but dependent origination. By dependence on my earlier actions and thought processes, they determine our brain process. Brain processes, they also affect our thought process. There's a mutuality of dependency. And thought processes are active. What keeps them active? Because of the earlier thought processes of intention. Earlier thought process intention is known as karma, right? Karma. So that is responsible for what is happening today. Now, in this very life, if we are really very observant, we see that even the very subtle thought process, what we experience now, is the outcome of so many other subtle things happening around. You can see that. It's amazing. Things are operating purely on the basis of dependent origination. Okay, so with this, now, we have to see that finally, what is really there is dependent origination. When we say dependent origination, then independent existence are to be rejected. To reject independent existence, it is not through blind faith. It is not through what you call it as, say, the fundamentalist. Oh, this is what the Buddha said, so therefore it should be true. No. If this is our approach, then we are going on the wrong track. So, it is so important for us to employ our rational thinking and gain conviction in the efficacy of the dependent origination. Things are nothing but the play of dependent origination, right? For example, say when one is really angry, you see around, you see things as all going wrong, all as so dull, so unhealthy, so bad, so odd. Whereas when your mind is so happy, you get good news, that you're meeting your mother after 20 years. Now your mother is released from somewhere and now you're meeting her. So this tremendous joy, you look at everywhere, you will see the beauty everywhere. If something is wrong, the wrong thing is also very beautiful. This is what we're going to see. So this perception, no one is responsible. There is no external agent which is responsible for that. It is only the thinking. When you're angry, all perceptions go wrong. No one is responsible. It's only your bad thinking which is responsible. If this is with the bad thinking, why not with the good ones as well? So we see that everything is nothing but coming to being by the power, by dependence on your own thinking process. And your thinking process is dependent on the earlier thinking process, because your thinking process of yesterday affects your thinking process of today. Your thinking process of your childhood affects your thinking process today. Right? So with this, we come to gain a tremendous conviction that it is only the dependent origination that is operating in this universe, nothing else. For this, to what extent one will gain conviction, it depends on how sharp your thinking is. Because this is purely a rational way of thinking. So rational meaning, your mind should be sharp. For this, all these texts which we are studying would be very helpful. Okay, so now with this background, let's say 213. Page 213. Page 213. Huh? Stanza 213. The cause which is the cause which is spherical is not present in the effect, thus complete interpenetration of particles is not feasible. So now, this is rejecting the position of the advocates of permanent particles. Permanent, the particles as the creator of the universe. The philosophical advocates of permanent particles as the creator of the whole universe. So now Acharya Aryadeva, well, how he's rejecting this is by, if you're able to reject the particles, then the moments of the mind, moments of the time, all can be rejected very easily. Okay, with this, what is it? The cause which is spherical. Say if the particle does exist, say like this, if the particle, if it does exist as a particle, then what is the shape of that? You may say it's a spherical in shape. The cause which is spherical, initial cause, the particles, which can be spherical in shape, is not present in the effect. In fact, look at the table. The table is not spherical; it is square. And look at the flowers; they are not spherical; they have their own unique shape. And look at the flags; they are flat; they are not spherical in nature. So, say the final cause, if the final creator is the particles, permanent particles, and the shape of which is believed to be spherical, but outcome of that is flat, not spherical, and square, not spherical. Okay, the cause which is spherical is not present in the effect. Effect is very different shape. It's not spherical. It may not be spherical. Thus, complete interpenetration of particles is not feasible. Meaning that now, from what we have learned earlier, say this is particle, this particle, spherical in nature, both, two, and then the third one, same, the particle, three, right? So these reasonings, they are so precious, so precious. Now, if we say that all these three are particles, then say A, B, and C. The central one, A on the right side, and the C to the left side, and the B the center. So within B, is there a part which is closer to A and further away from B? Oh, C, yes. Okay. And then, likewise, within B, is there a part which is closer to C and further away from A? If yes, then within B there are two parts. One which is closer to A, one which is closer to C. So these two are very different. So therefore it is not partless. If you say that no, there is no parts, which means what is closer to A should also be closer to C. What touches A should also touch C. If within B, what touches A touches C, then A and C should touch. If A and C touches, then what happens to B? B dissolves into A. Right? So like this, however millions of particles you bring, they all conflate. They all conflate to a single particle. So what is the size? What is the shape of the single particle? Spherical. Everything should be spherical in nature. But in actuality, while the single particle is spherical in nature, all others are different shapes. So therefore, this is a contradiction. Thus, complete interpenetration. Interpenetration meaning, say, conflation of particles is not feasible.
Can't we counter-argue, Mike? But can't we counter-argue that the spherical shape is so small that we can't discern it with our naked eye? Like, I mean, if in school also I've learned.
You from the point of view of the Buddhists or from the point of view of the advocates of the Paras particles.
I
Even within Buddhism, even amongst Buddhists,
there
there are people who believe in Paras particles.
I
So
was,
you advocate the non-Paras particles or Paras particles?
I'm advocating non-partless particle.
Okay.
But I don't find this reason very convincing.
Oh, this is so powerful. Not only convincing, it's very powerful.
Correct.
No, what the best thing for you to say is that there could be other, say, the views to counter that. You can say this. What?
I mean, conflation into one, definitely it's very powerful. But just the shape, like just to say that the partless particle is spherical.
No, it is not the advocates of the opponents of the Paras particles accepting the Paras particles as spherical. This shape is stipulated or explained by the advocates of the Paras particles.
I understand.
So
Let's take the scenario where the partless particle is spherical, for example,
yeah.
but it's so minute that
So let's say I believe in the Paras particle and I believe that to be spherical in nature. So what would you say?
So let's say the prayer flag, it does have a certain thickness. It's very almost
Yes,
flat.
yes.
So the spherical diameter is of that thickness. So I can arrange all the tiniest of partless particle in a certain shape to appear as a prayer flag. In reality, if we just zoom in, let's say they're not partless particle, but I'm just saying some particle.
No, I believe in Paras particle. Don't say there is no Paras particle. I believe it's Paras particle. So how would you?
See, Kishore, where I'm going is that the argument here says
No,
that
that is-
partless particle is spherical.
Are you giving a different argument, or you are bring a counter argument to the advocates, the opponents?
I'm bringing an argument by saying that there is a minute particle which may have which may be spherical, can be arranged in a flat prayer flag.
In this format,
Yes.
so that it appears as prayer flag.
It appears as a flat prayer flag.
So what?
Here the argument that I understood, it's what the explanation says, that since the partless particle is spherical, but there are phenomena which are flat. If the
No,
partless,
no,
that's what I
they-
understood.
There are so many things hidden. There's so many the reasons implicitly given. What is implicitly given, I explained to you. These three poor biscuits. This is the reason not explicitly found there.
This is very convincing.
If this is convincing, then the conclusion is this: that all these particles should conflate, constant, however millions of particles you put together, they will all conflate. If they conflate, then the trillions of particles conflated together is the shape of the trillions of particles combined together, and shape of one particle. What is the difference to the shape? The shape should be same.
Okay.
If the shape is same, then the prayer flag, which is flat in nature, not spherical, it is nothing but trillions of particles.
Right.
So they should all conflate to one point. So the shape of that is spherical. It should be spherical. But the shape what we see is very different. Right? So the reasons, they are all implicit. Implicit, we have to take from the other stanzas. Yes, Nareshji?
Yeah, the conflation, what you call singularity, could that be an instance of conflation of all?
Okay, singularity. This is so. To be very honest, even the physicists, the brightest of the physicists, they are not too sure about the singularity. There's so many questions there. What is singularity? It is same. How many of you seen? How many of you know that the cotton there's a package of the cotton when they compressed, huh?
Cotton bales.
Really compressed ones by the machine. They're compressed and they're bound by metallic.
Cotton bales.
cotton bales which were bound together by the metallic strips, exactly. Then what happens? When you remove the strips, what happens? That you should be very careful. Suddenly it's going to be expanded. Right? So the size of this huge, like this whole size of the cotton can be squeezed, compressed to this size of the table. If the machine is more efficient, it can be even smaller. Likewise, what compresses is because of the energy of the machine. Likewise, the whole universe, the stars, the suns, the planets, all these millions and trillions, they were all just, at one point, they're compressed so tightly by the force of the gravitation. They were so compressed so much. The gravitation is so enormous and the distance is so small that they are even more compressed. And because of this, the black holes. Anything gets in the air is sucked to the air. Nothing can escape this. Nowadays, again, there is some light wavelengths which can escape. This is okay. To a very generic idea that everything gets conflated. So how do we know that everything is conflated at one point? Is through what is known as the Doppler's effect. Is through observing the universe expanding through the Doppler's effect. So the universe today, what exists today, and what existed 100 years ago, what exists 200 years ago, from there we see that universe is expanding at an accelerating speed, which means it's accelerating more, which means 100 years ago the universe is smaller, nearer to each other, and 1 million years ago even nearer, 1 billion years ago even nearer. Then you calculate it, at one point they were all crunched together. It's 15 billion years ago. 15 billion years ago, everything in this universe, they were all together. And that is the crunch of the time and space. Time and space, all are crunched there. That is the singular. Time and space, they all become one. Singularity, only singularity, right? Okay, this is again hypothetical. It's a theory, right? And there's some basis there. It's not purely hypothetical. There's some basis there, but there's still questions are there, many questions. Okay, now we go further.
Can I ask you a question about karma and the genes?
Yes.
Scientists have been talking that many of our habitual patterns are carried in our genes. Many of our mental propensities, for example, violence or aggression, depression, certain mental traits and so on, we are a product of our genes. So if we, let's say that we get into practice, Buddhist practice, and we transform our minds, does that also affect our genes, and can those changes be passed on to the next generation? That is it.
Okay. Okay, let us not say, let's do Buddhist practice and then this is changed. Instead of saying that, let's practice wisdom of emptiness. Let's practice bodhicitta. So that is more precise, right? Okay, so that's very, not only possible, in fact there are two things. When we don't train ourselves, we are like animals. When we don't train ourselves, we are like animals, which means whatever is in us automatically will operate. So what is in us is the inheritance of the genes and the inheritance of the neural circuits, right? Neurons and the genes. So these two decide, and these two operate, or these two are affected by the environment. Right? Three things: genes, neurons, and the environment. So these three, if we don't say precisely, if we don't with effort, if we don't practice and train ourselves, then we are like animals. There's a difference. We're like animals, right? And if we go further, why we behave like this, right? Simply through our propensities, earlier tendencies. And where do these tendencies come from, right? So why this person, the same brother, the same sister, has very good tendencies, good neural connections, good synaptic connections, and the other brother, other sister, this is synaptic connection of the aggression, violence. Why? So biologically, there's no answer. So it's only through the connection to the previous lives. Okay, now with this, when we don't train ourselves, then what the genes we have, what the neural synaptic connections we have, what's the environment, that determines how we behave. Whereas if we train, we can go against the current of the river. We're going to go against. We can behave very differently. We can behave very differently from how the genes, environment, and our neurons dictate on us. We can behave very differently. In fact, genes we are not too sure, but our training can affect the neurons. The neural synaptic connections can be created because of the trainings, right? Okay, so these things are there. Okay, now maybe we can do another stanza, then we'll stop here. Okay, any questions? Yes, Sanjeevji. If you speak through the mic, that'll be helpful.
When you were explaining how nature works in your training days, how you experience agriculture, you explained it so beautifully. There is a confusion in my mind when you spoke of God and you spoke of karma. So in the context of God, one always finds a trigger point, a beginning. But in karma, we always talk about beginningless. How does one look at the trigger point there, or is there anything like that?
Okay, trigger point meaning the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, say this is another very important thing, a trigger point. Particularly people who are trained in the modern education. People who are trained in modern education, at times the modern education also kind of in a subtle way indoctrinated us to believe in something beginning. Indoctrinated us to believe in some beginning. If you reason out, if you give a reason, why should there be a beginning? Again, we have no answer. Right? So, it is very important. Now, modern education is amazingly a powerful tool. Amazingly powerful tool. It has revolutionized so many bad practices which the humanity had earlier. It has revolutionized so many of them. For example, even this one, democracy is an amazing thing as a gift. Eventually, because of the modernization. Okay, now, but it has also the negative sides. Also negative sides. What negative? Some modern education has to be introduced by someone. It's not that it's set as coming from outside. If somebody with the human mind has introduced that in a gradual process, collective way, over time. And then these people, when they introduce this concept, they have their own baggage. With that baggage, then ideas are put. And then we imbibe the idea, the person who started the modern education. All those people in this line, they started, we take them as taken for granted, that this is true. So therefore the education, modern education is so important today. How to design it properly. For example, what His Holiness the Dalai Lama is working so hard today to bring about universal ethics in the modern education system. modern education system, everybody takes it so seriously, particularly since childhood. Childhood, we believe in your teachers more so than the any other learned people. So the school plays a very important role, right? So, yet, when you become a little grown up, it is very important to analyze, to rationalize, to work on the rationality, to see that, say, as I said earlier, science has gone to that extent of looking for the trigger and end up in Big Bang, right? Big Bang. And that Big Bang, 100% is it sure that it happened? Right? Single Big Bang? Question. If single Big Bang is something which the scientists can confirm, then that is a trigger point. Whereas with a single Big Bang, there are so many contradictions. So to resolve that, many scientists believe in multiple Big Bang, right? So this leads us to believe in beginninglessness. Okay, debate now?
Ishwar, this is related to stanza 211. Last Sunday, one of the ways of rejecting the permanent thing, creating impermanent phenomena, that they are incompatible, permanence and impermanence. But in teachings also, so many texts say that everything arises from emptiness.
Wow, it's amazing. Yes, emptiness is permanent.
Yes, so I am confused. And how do I reconcile? Like here we are rejecting. There I do understand those are two different.
Emptiness as the causal factor for the arising of phenomena, or emptiness is the basis from which everything arises?
Not the causal, the basis.
Okay. So here is
Causal. I see.
Right? Okay. In fact, everything arising from the emptiness. When we say arise, we get the connotation of causal arisal, right? In fact, better word would, not really better word, I would say, another way which would be convincing for us at this stage would be to say that everything is the manifestation of emptiness. That is more convincing for us at this stage. Then later on, when you become really convinced about emptiness, about the non-duality of the two things. Form is empty, emptiness is form, right? It does not that emptiness, form arises. No, emptiness is form, which means simultaneity. It's not causal, right? Okay. Yes, Tejalji?
Actually, is there any phenomena that depends just on the third level of dependence origination?
Just. No.
Is there any phenomena which depends just on the third level of dependent origination?
Now, Tejal's question is like these texts. There are so many implicit things there. First, she's talking about the three levels of dependent origination. She did not specify that dependent origination, there are three levels. And is it true that there is something which only follows the third level of dependent origination, not qualifying the first and second? This is your question, right? So these have to interpret. Interpret meaning, I have to add, because you took them for granted, right? Okay, your words will also become like this text later on. Your students will have to explain further. Okay, so there are three levels of dependent origination. When we said that everything is just nothing but dependent origination. So this dependent origination, there are three levels. One is the cause-effect dependent origination. In other words, dependent origination of the effects dependence on causes. One. Number two is dependent origination of the wholes dependence on parts. Number three is dependent origination of dependence on mere mental imputation. Three. Of the three, the question is, can we think of any phenomenon which only fulfills the third level of dependent origination and not the first and the second? Answer is no. That everything that exists in this universe must fulfill the number two and number three. Number two and number three. Everything that exists in this universe can be classified into two. What are they? Permanent and impermanent phenomena. Impermanent phenomena fulfills all three. Have to fulfill all three. Whereas permanent phenomena fulfill only the number 2 and number 3, not the first one. Okay. 214. One particle's position is not asserted as also that of another. Thus, it is not asserted that cause and effect are the same size. Okay, so the cause is what? The cause is like these, say, particles, and the effect is like the prayer flags or the whole world. And so, if this were the case, the whole world as composed of the particles, then all the particles, they should conflate to each other, and finally only one particle should be left there, in which case the size of the particle and the size of the whole universe should be the same. Universe should be as the result, size of the result, which is the universe, and the size of the particle as the cause, they should become the same. But in actuality, this is not true. Okay, we'll stop here. And dedication prayer. Yes, Nareshji, you have a question?
The categorization of phenomena. We talk about phenomena which are beginningless and endless, and phenomena which are beginning and an end, and phenomena which are so now I'm just wondering, in the phenomena which are beginningless and endless, is there any further explanation? For instance, dukkha, suffering is beginningless but has an end.
Yes.
Is there any other explanation for phenomena which are beginningless and endless?
Mind?
Mind, yes, that's an example.
Then?
I'm saying that is there any explanation for phenomena which are beginningless and endless?
What do you mean explanation? How can one explain that it exists, that such things exist? Is this your question?
Yes, because there would be an explanation for how suffering comes to an end.
Yes.
How the mind perpetuates itself.
Yes.
Is there a similar explanation for...
In fact, how the mind perpetuates itself,
Yes.
how the particles and the energy perpetuates itself.
But similar.
So this is This is the explanation for the beginninglessness. Because the particles, they are not created by external another agent. So they are through the previous particle. Previous particle goes to previous particle. You go track like this, it's beginningless. And then there's no external factor which can destroy the particle, annihilate the particle altogether. So it will continue. So that takes us to the endlessness. Likewise is the case for mind. Okay, page 309. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. And as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. A part of the union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of the Dharma and the beings of the snowland. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the three jewels. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Adam and Jishri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay.